Every fifth-generation fighter ever built was designed around one assumption: the enemy cannot see what it cannot detect. That assumption is cracking, not because stealth was a bad idea. It was a revolutionary one. But the sensor technology closing in on stealth aircraft is advancing faster than stealth itself can evolve. And the world's two most capable adversaries have been building specifically to exploit that gap. So here is the question worth asking. Is stealth still the decisive advantage it was sold as? Or is the defense community spending hundreds of billions of dollars protecting a capability that is quietly running out of time? Right now, the U.S. Air Force operates roughly 180 F-22 Raptors and over 350 F-35As. Both are fifth-generation stealth platforms. Both represent the current gold standard in low observable technology. China operates the J-20 Mighty Dragon and has rolled out the J-35, its carrier-capable stealth variant. Russia's Su-57 Felon is in limited production, stalled by economics, but operational. Meanwhile, the U.S. NYAD program, Next Generation Air Dominance, is developing a sixth-generation aircraft designed to replace the F-22 as early as the mid-2030s. The drivers are real: aging airframes, a fleet too small to sustain high-end combat, sustainment costs that are spiraling, and mission demands the F-22 was never designed to meet. That last part deserves to sit for a moment. The most capable air superiority fighter ever built, still in its operational prime, is already being superseded. Not because it has failed, because the threat environment is evolving faster than any single platform can keep up with. That is not a commentary on the F-22. That is a commentary on where sensor and missile technology is heading. To understand where we are, you need to understand how fast this technology has moved. The F-117 Nighthawk entered service in 1983. It was not aerodynamically efficient. It was not particularly fast. It was shaped entirely around one goal: defeat radar. In 1991 over Baghdad, it worked perfectly. Aircraft flew into one of the most defended airspaces in the world and were effectively invisible. Then in 1999 over Serbia, an F-117 was downed by a Serbian air defense battery operating an S-125, a Soviet-era system. The crew exploited a combination of factors: AFF, acquisition radar, less affected by stealth shaping, predictable flight routing that gave them advanced positioning, and brief radar activation windows to avoid counter-detection. It was not a pure sensor breakthrough. It was tactical adaptation, and it worked. The lesson was not that stealth failed. The lesson was that adversaries immediately began studying how to defeat it. The F-22 followed: broader frequency range coverage, supercruise capability, all-aspect low observable design. The F-35 followed that, optimized less for pure air superiority and more for multi-role survivability in contested airspace. Each generation of stealth closed the gaps its predecessor left open. But simultaneously, the doctrine surrounding air combat was also shifting. We moved from visual range dogfighting to beyond visual range missile engagements. We moved from platform-centric warfare, one jet, one pilot, one kill, to network warfare, where the jet is a sensor node, not the primary weapon. That doctrinal shift matters enormously, because in a network-centric environment, stealth is not your only protection. Your position, your emissions, your data links, all of it creates a signature. Here is where the debate lives. The pro-stealth argument is straightforward. Low observable technology still forces adversaries to complicate their kill chains. If a radar cannot reliably track a target, the missile cannot reliably hit it. Every layer of uncertainty you introduce into that chain improves your survivability. Stealth does not make you invisible. It makes you expensive to kill. That argument has real merit. But here is where it runs into friction. First, the sensor race is not standing still. China has been investing heavily in HF and off-radar systems, longer wavelength emitters that are less affected by the geometric shaping of stealth aircraft. The trade-off is targeting resolution. They cannot guide a missile precisely, but they can cue a shorter wavelength tracking radar, which can then refine the track. It is a multi-layer detection system, built specifically to chain together what individual radars cannot do alone. Russia has moved similarly with the S-400 and S-500 systems. These are not just air defense missiles. They are integrated sensor networks designed to correlate tracks from multiple emitters and build a composite picture no single radar could produce. Second, cost. The F-22 cost roughly $150 million per unit in flyaway cost. When you fold in R&D, the program acquisition unit, cost climbs to roughly $330 $350 million, depending on accounting method. The F-35A is around $80 million, a genuine reduction, but the program total, across all variants, exceeds $400 billion. NGAD early cost estimates from USAF leadership have ranged between $200 and $300 million per aircraft, though those figures are preliminary and no formal program baseline has been established. That is not a trend moving in the right direction. At those numbers, the U.S. Air Force cannot produce these aircraft in the quantities that historical air campaigns required. In World War II, the U.S. produced over 12,000 P-51 Mustangs. The entire F-22 program produced 187, 8 of which were test aircraft, never intended for combat. Modern warfare is not a direct replay of WE mass production campaigns. Force multipliers, precision, and coalition integration all matter more now. But fleet size still imposes hard limits on sustained operations. A force of 150 aircraft, however capable, cannot absorb attrition across a prolonged high-end conflict and remain decisive. Third, emissions. Modern stealth aircraft are designed with low radar cross-sections, but radar is not the only way to find a jet. Engine heat, radio frequency emissions from data links and radar. Researchers have also explored wake and ionization effects at speed, though those remain experimental rather than operationally fielded detection methods. An aircraft that is radar invisible, but electronically loud, is not invisible. It is just radar invisible. Every active system an aircraft uses creates a signature. And passive detection, systems that listen rather than emit, can build a track on emissions alone. Stealth is not becoming obsolete, but stealth alone is already obsolete. The F-117 was pure stealth, shape the aircraft, defeat the radar, survive. That single variable approach worked until adversaries solved for it. The F-22 and F-35 added layers, speed, maneuverability, electronic warfare, network integration. Stealth became one variable in a multivariable survivability equation. The hard truth is that the entire framing of the debate is wrong. The question is not whether stealth still works. The question is whether stealth provides enough survivability margin to justify the cost, the industrial capacity, and the strategic bet that comes with building a small fleet of extraordinarily expensive platforms. And the answer, increasingly, is no, not on its own. The adversaries that matter most have spent 20 years reverse engineering the problem. They studied every classified leak, every open-source analysis, every downed airframe they could access. Their integrated air defense systems, the S-400, S-500, HQ-9, are built to defeat exactly the kind of low-observable, high-performance aircraft the United States has invested most heavily to field. No official document states that explicitly, but the capability sets speak for themselves. So what does air combat look like in 2030 to 2040? The answer is not one dominant platform. It is a system. NGAD will be a crewed aircraft, almost certain, but it will operate as a quarterback in a mixed fleet of autonomous wingmen. The Air Force's Collaborative Combat Aircraft Program, the CCA, is already in development. These are uncrewed, attritable platforms, meaning they are designed to be lost, that extend the sensor and weapons range of the crewed aircraft directing them. The logic is clear. If a stealth aircraft is expensive to kill, but a drone wingman costs $3 million, you flood the threat environment with signatures, saturate the adversary's kill chain, and force them to make prioritization decisions under time pressure. The crewed aircraft, further back in the network, becomes harder to find and harder to kill. AI integration accelerates this. Not AI as a pilot replacement, but AI as a decision support layer that processes sensor data from across the network faster than any human analyst. The pilot's role shifts from stick and rudder execution to high-level tasking and authorization. Meanwhile, directed energy, high-powered microwave systems, airborne laser platforms begins to change the defensive calculus for missiles. If you can defeat the incoming missile's platform becomes less threatening. The offense-defense balance shifts again. Stealth does not disappear from this picture, but it becomes one layer in a system architecture, not the architecture itself. The aircraft that survives in 2035 will not be the one with the lowest radar cross-section. It will be the one embedded deepest in the most resilient, most adaptive, most responsive network, able to see everything, communicate everything, and deny the adversary the clean kill chain they need. Air superiority in 2035 will not be decided by which aircraft is hardest to see. It will be decided by which network is hardest to kill. The jet is a node. The network is the weapon. And right now, neither side has built one resilient enough to be confident It survives first contact with the other.